get started. I'm just putting us live and recording this so that those that can't take this in tonight, they can join us and listen to this later. All right. Okay, let's get started. 1 second. Oh, one more second here. All right. Here we go. We still have people entering our little group, and I was just going to go over some housekeeping rules. So first things first, everyone is muted because we have quite a few people with us tonight. Might be up to about 40 of us, so it just cuts down on the background noise. If you are on your laptop or on your desktop and you move your mouse down to the bottom, you will see a little bar pop up, and on there is a chat box. If you have questions during our little travel talk tonight, you can click on that and enter your question. And at the end of our talk, we will have time for questions and answers. So we'll go through the chat box then. If you see something that you want to remember, you might want to have a pen, notepad handy to jot down something. I also find having my camera handy just to take a screenshot of my screen or a picture of my laptop screen sometimes helps. It's nice and quick and easy. You can look at it then later. And I guess that is about all. So just to get started, I'll introduce myself. I'm Leah Holt. I am with Go Travel Edson. I have clients all across Canada. The majority of you, though, will probably be tuning in from Alberta, but I know we have some even as far as Quebec. Guylaine is over there, and she is joining us. It'll be about 10 o'clock, I think, there. So thanks, Guylaine, for joining us even that far away. And then we go all the way to BC, so right across Canada. And I love travel. I've been doing this now for 5 years, and out of all the things that I've done, from being a teacher to owning my own coffee bar, this is my favorite. So I just can't get enough. Yeah, so I would love to, right now we are postponing travel, but it doesn't stop us from dreaming. So I am taking this time now to educate you, my clients, and show you as much and tell you as much as I can about destinations around the world and even different ways that you can travel. So at this time now, I'm going to pass it over to Kim. Kim is joining us from Viking Cruise Lines, and I think she's in BC. Are you in BC, Kim?
I am. I'm in Vancouver.
All right. Okay. So take it away. Tell us all about Viking, river cruising, why it's different, and we will be happy to follow along. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, can you see my screen? Is my screen up on your side? Because it's hard for me to tell. Perfect.
Yes, it is. Yep, okay, we're good.
If I go too fast or you lose me, let me know. But you can see the picture behind me, a picture of our ship in Budapest. So I thought I'd put you in the mood as we were talking about this. So I'm dreaming about being somewhere else as well, much as I love where I live. So, but it is a beautiful spot. So just a little background on me. I work for Viking Cruises. I handle all of Western Canada, but I handle a lot of our national accounts in Canada as well. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is giving you an overview of Viking River Cruises. I'm also going to be digging a little bit deeper into the Danube Waltz itinerary, which goes between Passau and Budapest. This is one that Leah has chosen to present tonight, and it's one I did last summer and absolutely loved it. I've actually done it a couple of times. People always ask me, do you get bored doing the same itinerary? Well, you don't. In Europe, there's so much to see. And every time I've gone on this itinerary, I've done something completely different. So I'm going to share a few different things with you, because if you've already been to this area, you may be thinking, no, I don't want to go back. But I promise you, there's lots to do. That is one of the lovely, lovely things about Europe. So let me start a bit with Viking. We've been around for a long time. Viking is one of the oldest river lines. We have been in business for over 22 years. We started in Russia in 1997, and the gentleman you see there is our sole owner. We do have two investors. One of them is a large financial operation in the States. The other is the Canadian pension plan. You'll be happy to hear that if you travel with Viking, you're actually investing in your own retirement. He owns 85% of the business, and he has lots to say. We work actually. He's very hands-on, and he's really a fascinating guy. But he saw the opportunity. He'd been in the cruise industry for a long time, starting with Royal Viking Line, which was one of the first of the luxury ocean cruise companies. They used to sail around the world for close to 25 years. He sold that company with his partners in the early 1990s. And in about 1996-7, he saw an opportunity in Russia. Things were starting to change there. The communist walls were starting to crumble all around Europe and certainly in Russia. And people were curious about going to see what was behind that Iron Curtain. So he bought 4 ships there, and that's where they started. We started sailing between St. Petersburg and Moscow, and have been there for the last 22 years. We expanded into Europe in the mid-2000s, and now we have 64 river ships in Europe. We have 74 river ships altogether sailing around the world. So lots and lots of amazing places to explore. We do have 4 different products. 2 of them you can see here. We have river ships, ocean ships, expedition ships, and about 2-3 weeks ago, we launched our Mississippi ships. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you as well. I'm not going to go into the river expedition tonight because we want to stay focused on river, but I thought I'd throw a little Mississippi at you because it is on the river. So we have built these ships with green technology. We do have solar panels, hybrid engines. We've tried to reduce our carbon footprint and be a little bit more conscious about how we affect the environment. With a lot of ships on the rivers, it is something you need to pay attention to. Even our ocean ships have got solar panels, they've got hybrid engines, and all the latest environmental, technologically sound equipment. We have, the other great thing about all of the ships that we have, they're small and intimate, and that allows us to dock in the heart of the city. So if you've been on big ships before, you might have found yourself a long ways away from the middle of the city because of the larger ships have to have different port facilities. The wonderful thing about a river ship and even our small ship ocean going vessels is that they are small enough to dock usually in the heart of the city. So it is something that's really special. With our river ships also, we do own all of them. They're all exactly the same. And that allows us some flexibility, but we also, that gives us a consistency, whether you sail on river, ocean, expedition, or Mississippi, the experience and the sort of style of the ships is going to be very much the same. So one of the things we always like to tell people is that we're not everything to everybody. We are not a cruise line that is focused on families or theme cruises. We know who our audience is. I think it's all of you. We are focused on the baby boom generation, those of us that are looking for adventure, we're curious, we're looking for art, history, culture, music, and we like to travel with like-minded people. We're also, in many cases, very destination focused. I know that I like to spend more time in the port of call and less time getting there. I've done all the big ships over the years. I've been 32 years in this industry, and a large number of those with big contemporary brands. And the last 11 years I've been with Viking, and I have to say that small for me is better. And I enjoy that personal attention and the personal experience. We're also very highly inclusive. I'm going to go into that a little bit more. We are also, you'll find some amazing staff. We're recognized for our service through in all of the like Travel and Leisure, Condé Nast, a lot of the consumer-based magazines. So we also know that people like to travel with like-minded people. I certainly do. I love to chat with people about travel. One of my favorite things to do when I go to dinner is to find out where other people have been and where I might want to go. I'm always looking for a new destination and a new experience and a new adventure. So we know that people love to travel. We also know they like to research before they go. So if you're one of those people, I encourage you to check out our Viking TV, because we have a lot of cool stuff on there right now, particularly for us armchair armchair travelers as we're preparing our bucket list for the future. Lots of onboard activities, lots of onshore activities, and it really gives you a chance to mix and mingle with the local, with other people that share your interests. So why do you want a river cruise, especially if you've been an ocean cruiser? Leah, I don't know how many people have been on ocean cruises. Do you know?
I actually have a poll here. Let's find out.
Okay, let's find out.
Let's do this. Okay, so it should come up on their screen.
Yeah.
There's two questions. The first one is, have you been on any type of cruise before? Yes or no?
Ooh, about 50.
And then what type of cruise have you been on? Ocean, river cruise, or cruise on the internet?
Very funny. Yeah, that's great. That really helps me out a lot because I'm assuming that many of your ocean cruises have been on our contemporary brands, the bigger ships. So,
yeah, exactly. So it looks like we have almost 50-50. I will end the polling and share the results. So we have quite a few people that have cruised before, but mostly ocean cruising. And of course, internet. But very few, only 5% have river cruise. So yeah, this is great.
Okay, well, you internet cruisers, we're going to get you on a river ship. So that's my my challenge tonight. So, all right, well then let's take a look at. I'm going to ask you to. Can I take that down or can you take it down? Okay, there we go.
Yeah, you have to take it down. Everyone has to take it down
Yeah,
themselves.
got it.
Just click on the X. Yeah.
So here's why I love river cruising. As I mentioned, I've been in the cruise industry for a very long time. I started actually in the late 80s when ships were about 600 passengers. There were no big ships. The only big ship in the industry at that time was the Norway, which was with Norwegian Cruise Line, the company I worked with, and it was the largest at 2,000 passengers, and that was a mega ship in the early 90s. So what I love about river cruising is that the ships are small. They're 150 to 200 passengers. So it's easy to get on and off. It's easy to get to know people. Also, you don't have to pack and unpack. If some of you have been on coach tours, and maybe there are a few of you that have, I know I travel for a living, so I'm constantly moving, but I hate to be on somebody else's schedule when I'm on my vacation. I don't know about you guys, but I really hate that. So the nice thing about river cruises, you unpack once, and you've got the entire cruise to just relax, wake up in a new place every day, and you don't have to pack and unpack, which is exhausting. It's leisurely and casual too, so no jackets and ties, ball gowns, cocktail dresses, high heels, gentlemen, no ties, no tuxedos. And I think for a lot of us, that's a big relief, especially nowadays when it costs so much to check your luggage. You don't want to be hauling a lot of stuff with you. And I do encourage ladies, take an extra bag because I can share with you some of my favorite shoe shopping cities. It's one of those things you might not want a little extra space for, but I have to say it's nice not to have to pack all those clothes. And we also don't travel at high speeds. A lot of people ask me, when do we cruise? Well, we do cruise at night a lot of the time, and we cruise through the less interesting ports of call or stretches of the river. So that would be, the industrial areas, or maybe it's a series of locks. The locks on the river, there's lots of them, and they go up and down like an elevator. They're like if you've ever been on any of the locks in Eastern Canada, or you've been through the Panama Canal, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But they're not very interesting after the first one. So we do a lot of those at night. And so we want to make sure that we're spending the time in the port of call and giving you as much time to really enjoy that experience as you can, to be able to walk and touch and taste and feel, experience that destination. We also have constantly changing scenery. And for those of you that are those internet surfers or internet cruisers, you may be avoiding ocean cruising because you want to be able to know you can see land. And one of the things that you will see is that beautiful scenery that you have there, which is part of the Middle Rhine. You can see some of the castles. That's the Mouse Castle. Around the corner is the Cat's Castle. And all along the river, you're going to find these beautiful scenes, little medieval towns, the fields of lavender in France. You've got vineyards, all of this. And the nice thing about this is if the ship sinks, what do? Well, you can swim, obviously, because it's not very far. But the rivers in Europe are not very deep. So you can actually just go to the top of the ship and you can wave. It's not far. So we've got this beautiful changing scenery. We've got We've got, and it's also smooth sailing. That's the other great thing about rivers. Rivers are flat. You don't have to worry about them going up and down like you do on an ocean. With rivers, you've got that sort of, what I always find actually is that I can't tell if we're moving, especially at night, unless I can see the lights or the buildings going by. It's a very smooth sail. And so for those of you who might have avoided cruising because you were worried about motion, this is one of the great things about rivers. Now, I do have to mention here that rivers do fluctuate. They go up and down. They can fluctuate in water levels from centimeters to feet. In 2013, we had the highest water in 600 years. Those of you that might be in Calgary might remember that flood year. That's when Calgary flooded. At the same time, there was huge floods going on in Europe. And you thought it was bad in Calgary. It was over 50 feet of water that was in terms of extra height. And so it was quite remarkable, but that's an extreme year. 2-3 years ago, we had the lowest water ever recorded in 2,000 years. And so we have had those extremes, but for the most part, it's a very simple process. And the great thing with Viking is that our ships are exactly the same. And it allows us to do a ship swap. So we can move your guests between ships very easily. We have our own fleet of buses, so it's simple. We send you out on tour, we ask you to pack your bags, and then we move you while you're out on tour to an identical ship and stateroom, and you'll come back, and the only thing that's different is the name of the ship. We even move some of our staff. So I don't want you to be worrying about water levels. You've probably heard about that. Maybe you've seen it talk on the chat sites, but it is something we manage extremely well. And remember, we've been in business for 22 years. The other thing we do is dock right in the heart of the city. And I love this picture because this is the middle of Budapest. There's the Parliament buildings, and we are docked right there in the middle of the city. So you literally step off and everything's at your fingertips. And that's something else I love. Think about how long it takes you to get off a big ocean ship, those of you who've been on it. It takes a long time. Sometimes you have to line up to get the ticket. Then you have to line up again to show the ticket to get off the ship. It's a long process, and then you have to be back early because it takes so long for all of those people to get through the security. With a river ship, you literally step off. Think of it like a little boutique hotel, and you step out of the hotel and you're right there, and you step back in, and you don't have to wait or go through all those checks that you do on a big ocean ship. Now, we do have lots of security, don't worry about that, but it is a much simpler process. The other thing I love is virtually all-inclusive. So I don't know about you guys, but have you ever opened up the door on the last day of your cruise and found a ransom note posted? Sometimes it costs you more to get off than it does to get on. I've had that happened to me several times. So with river cruising, you don't have to worry about it. And actually, we've set it up so if you want to pay for everything, pretty much everything before you go, you can do that, and there's no surprises. So we do include virtually everything, and I'll go into that in a minute. So what makes Viking different? Well, first of all, we're very focused on destination. We want to bring you cultural enrichment, and we like to really put it together so that we know that you're going to enjoy it. So let's talk about what's included. Shore excursion in each port of call. All your onboard meals, we're not going to make you cook. We also include multiple dining options. So we have our relaxed Aquavit Terrace and Lounge, which allows you some alfresco dining, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We also have our formal dining room where you can enjoy a much more formal dining experience with breakfast, lunch, and a beautiful dinner in the evening. And it's open seating, so you can dine with new people every night, or you can just join friends if you've made friends and you want to sit together each evening, you can do that as well. We include beer, wine, and soft drinks with meals. We have sparkling wine in the morning, so if you want to start your day with a little toast and some mimosa, you can do that. Specialty coffees and teas are included at a 24-hour self-serve coffee, tea, and cappuccino bar. We also have snacks there, so if you want to try some of the local pastries or cookies, those are all there as well. Bottled water, Wi-Fi, in-room dining, or in-room infotainment, so if you want to watch movies about the destination, or, I mean, they could be, we have a whole range of things. I caught up on all of Downton Abbey on one trip I was on. It was a longer one. All your port charges and government fees and taxes are included. And on our ocean ships, we also include all the alternate restaurants. So what we don't include, and there really is very little, we don't include optional tours. So those would be above and beyond the tours that we have built into the package. Now, if you just did the ones included, you would not miss anything. You will see all the highlights, all the major attractions. But if you like to dig a little deeper, maybe you're like me and you like to be active. Maybe you want to take a bike trip. Maybe you want to hike a little bit. Maybe you want to go take a cooking class, or maybe you want to do some painting. Excuse me, these are things that we have built into the optional experiences. Hang on a second.
I think a lot, I was just going to pipe in here while you take a drink. The one shore excursion that is included most often is a walking tour. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's about a 2 to 2.5 hour walking tour. We do those in small groups, so I'll come back to that in a sec. Bottled water, Wi-Fi, all of that. So it's gratuities are not included; those are discretionary, but you can prepay them. We do add them to the onboard account, just like we do on Ocean, and only because we do offer lots of times promotions, and you can use any ship or credit if that's an option that can be used towards those onboard costs, as well as prepaid gratuities. We also have soft drinks and alcohol not included between meals. Now we do have a beverage package if you want to add that in, but we also have no corkage. So we have a no fee for that. So if you want to bring local beer and wine on board, you want to bring duty free, you want to bring a case of wine and take it wherever you like on the ship and drink it anywhere you want, you can do that. We have no limits. We have no charges, and we really encourage you to try local. So feel free, bring whatever you like and enjoy it wherever you like.
Yeah, that's a great option for people going on.
Yeah.
There's all the vineyards in Europe and doing vineyard tours. You can bring it back on with you.
And it's also not expensive in Europe. That's the wonderful thing. So I always love to try local stuff. And actually, one of my friends is a real wine connoisseur. And when he came on board, he likes really expensive red wine. And I knew we didn't carry the number of bottles I knew he would consume. So I suggested that he might want to do some shopping, and he did. He brought a case of wine with him, and he bought some more while he was tasting along the river. And it was fun. It was fun because he shared it with all of us, and we got to try all kinds of new stuff. But there's no issue, and the staff was just as equally as interested in what he was bringing, because they're really super interested in all of this as well. And remember, they all come from the local area, so they love to share their own personal experiences, their favorite restaurants, their favorite markets. So feel free to ask them when you're traveling with us. They are amazing people. So we do include some really cool destination-focused dining. You can try all the local cuisine. We do highlight that. But we also have always available steak, Caesar salad, chicken, and salmon. And I know many of you are in Alberta, and there's nothing better than Alberta steak or beef. I'm originally from Edmonton, so I know that. And so we do have, I think Texas grade, we don't have Alberta, but it's not bad. Certainly better than some of the European, but you can have that whenever you like. So cultural enrichment is something we really focus on. It's about touching, tasting, feeling, and experiencing that destination, right? We really want to dig a little bit deeper. We want to try the wine. We want to try the food. We want to enjoy the music. We want to talk to the people. So our short tours go out in small groups, as you mentioned, about 10 to 15 in some of the walking tours. When we go a little bit further by coach, we have our own coaches that travel with us, so they're around 25 to 30. But you can go at your own pace. Our cultural curriculum, we also bring on local entertainers and musicians, so you can enjoy some of the cultural stuff right on the ship. We take you out to concerts, local cultural demonstrations. We bring on destination movies. If you like to cook, as many people are probably doing right now, gaining lots of pounds, learning how to make bread and all kinds of stuff that we never have time for, we'll have some cooking demonstrations and some recipes for you to take home. And in some of the areas that we travel to, like Vietnam, China, Egypt, we work closely with the local communities, and we help to support those communities. We've built some schools. We've helped with freshwater well projects and orphanages. So when you travel with us, you're going to have a chance to enjoy and get to meet some of the kids that are in those schools, because they want the opportunity to learn English, practice it. They like to perform. So it's a great experience for all of us. We also bring on world-class lecturers on our ocean and destination expedition ships, but we also have local lectures that talk about the destination's history, current affairs on our river ships as well. And then we'll take you a little bit behind the scenes, and I'm going to touch on that really quickly. I don't know about you guys, but I love to peek in people's houses when I travel. I love to see how people live. I love to go to the markets. You'll hear me talk about food because I love to cook. And I also love to kind of graze my way across country. So I love to try the wine. I love to try the different foods that are available. I love to go out for lunch. And I love to dig deeper. And so we know that and through our Viking way, when you look at some of the experiences that we have, local life is one that is highlighted, and that's an opportunity to get to know the locals. Maybe go to a local home and enjoy some of the local treats, try some of the local wine. I had some fun in Russia, actually, because I went to a little village and we have 6 host families in this little village of Uglich. And you go in and our hostess makes her own vodka behind the, in a still behind her house. So it was kind of not the clear stuff I'm used to. It was a little bit brown and quite strong, but it was really fun because we all toasted. There were about 16 of us, so we drank vodka, we toasted, we drank local tea, tried the local cakes, but we got to really dig deep and ask questions and get to know the lady that was our host, and it really gave us some insight. So these are fun things that we have available for you. I don't know about you guys, but maybe somebody enjoys cars. We have a lot of really cool experiences that will take you a little bit deeper into what makes the economy tick in places like this. So when I asked about cars, in some of the places we visit, we have access to the Mercedes factory, the BMW factory. So if you're interested in that, I did that in Munich. I went to see the BMW factory, and it was so interesting, really fascinating. But there's lots of different things that we do through the Working World experience, which digs a little bit deeper. Privileged access takes you behind the scenes. So here's some of the things that we do. For example, local life, the Cologne beer culture and the brew house. Those are things that you can have some fun with. On this particular experience, I'm going to tell you about the Horrigan evening that I went to in Vienna, which was really fun and very local. In Budapest, you can go and try the original spa. I'll show you some pictures. The Gellert Spa is the very first spa, and it's not like the spas in North America. I promise you, it's quite different. It's all about taking the waters, more like going to Banff Springs for the goodness of the waters, as opposed to a manicure and pedicure. Working World, as I mentioned, will take you into like a cheese farm. You'll maybe in the Wachau Valley, you can go to the wine cellars and try some of the local wines. And Privileged Access will take you up into the Cologne Cathedral if you're not afraid of heights. Or in Vienna, we also have, we work with the Viennese Voice Choir. So if you want to go in and listen to the performance, you can do that. But we also have access to the rehearsal hall. So if you want to go in and meet the boys personally, that's one of the behind the scenes privileged access experiences that we have. And I was fascinated when I did that because one of the little boys that sings with the Viennese Boys Choir, he's from Calgary, which was really interesting. So they're from all over the world, and that's something I've forgotten until I got there, and he was there, and it was really fun to talk to him, and he was pleased to talk to us because we were Canadian. So let's take a quick look at the ships. They are a little bit smaller than an ocean ship. They're only 3 stories high. You can see the Aquavit Terrace at the front, the large upper deck where you've got lots of space to sit and relax and enjoy the view. You can enjoy wine or all kinds of other goodies up there. And then we also have some of our staterooms. So let's take a quick look. I'm going to take you on a little tour. You can see how bright and airy they are. Here's our entrance lobby. And you can see the natural fabrics. There's a real Scandinavian aesthetic to it. And in addition to that, I want to point out on the left-hand side of the picture, you can see that glass door. That's a sliding glass door on the outside of the ship. And what you're seeing beyond it is another ship that's docked right beside. Now, I always like to tell people about the fact that river ships dock like a raft, side by side in busy ports. So there are going to be times when you might be walking through other ships. Most of the time it's going to be a Viking ship. And all those doors open up and you walk right through and get off the ship. Now, in one thing I do always like to remind people is that sometimes when you are docked side by side, you might fling open your curtains one morning, as I did, and be surprised by the gentleman who's in his towel in the other ship. So I quickly closed the curtains, I waved to him, and then later on the day, we just introduced ourselves. But be aware that you will find yourself up against another ship, and sometimes that can be a surprise when you fling open the curtains. But it's only while we're in port in busy destinations. When we're sailing, obviously, we're not doing that. Here's what the lobby looks like. And you go up the stairs. On either side of the stairs, you've got coffee bars. We've got a big skylight, so you can see the bright airiness. Here we have the dining room with floor-to-ceiling windows and round tables, so it's easy to chat with people, and you'll never miss anything. Because often we do sail through the meal hour as we're going from port to port, so you can enjoy that. We also have our bar and lounge with a dance floor and some live music, so this can be quite a hot spot at cocktail hour, and certainly when we do our briefings at 6:30 or 6:30, and also in the evening for cocktails. It's lovely. But you can also enjoy the big windows. This is all part of it. You can see this is just adjacent to the bar I showed you. And also our Aquavit Lounge, which is like a beautiful solarium. It's a great spot to kind of curl up with your book and not miss anything, enjoy the view, especially if it's a little chilly outside. But you can also sit right at the bow of the ship. I spent a morning sitting in one of those rocking chairs as I was on the Danube Waltz last year, drinking my coffee, reading my book, and just taking it all in. Can you just imagine yourself there? Isn't it beautiful? You've got the nice place for an early morning breakfast, lunch, or even an evening dinner as the sun is going down. It's just amazing. You won't find that on other ships either. That's a patented design only on Viking ships. So we have our library, which is up here, and then our staterooms. I'm just going to give you a quick look at what our staterooms look like. Here is our standard stateroom. This is this one is what I call the swan view. I always call it swan view because it has that high window. It doesn't open, and it is closer to the water line. So I always call it swan view because the first time I flung open the curtains and looked out the window, there were swans looking back at me. So it's not, you're not right in the water, but it is lower to the water than some of the others. But the room is 150 square feet. River ships are not huge, so just be aware you're not going to be spending a lot of time in these rooms. You're going to be out enjoying that view and off the ship a lot. These are beds can be split. There's lots of storage. You can put your luggage underneath the bed. We also have refrigerators. We have safes. We have the audio box system, which is a wireless connection to the guide when we're doing our walking tours. We have beautiful bathrooms with heated tile floors, lovely amenities, square and glassed-in showers. So you don't have to dance with the shower curtain. You can just enjoy it. And then we have our French balcony with 135 square feet, a little bit smaller, a little more compact, but once you put everything away, it's a very efficient stateroom, and that sliding door does open up. You cannot step out. It's like a French balcony is like a Juliet balcony. So imagine Juliet leaning out and Romeo is down below. And most of these are at street level. So you'll be right at street level. And then we have our verandas. These are a little bit bigger with more seating space and a full step out veranda. So if you like to be able to sit out there and enjoy your glass of wine and watch the world go by, or wake up with that fresh air, you can certainly do that. If you're going on a longer cruise, I often recommend the veranda, just because that extra floor space on the interior does make a little bit of a difference if you're not used to being really in close contact with your spouse. Sometimes it's nice to have that little extra space. And then we have our 2-room suites. These have a private bedroom, private sitting room, French balcony, and a full veranda. So they're a little bit bigger if you want to entertain and you don't want your friends sitting on your bed. It's a nice place to be. So let's take a look at our destinations. I always like to start with a map. Leah and I were talking about this earlier. She was saying, as I have, that we had cruised around the outside of these countries, but a lot of times you don't realize that that river goes right through the heart of Europe, and that you can actually cruise the whole way. We actually have a 23-day cruise that goes all the way from the North Sea up near England, all the way through the center of Europe and down to the Black Sea. It's 23 days, 8 countries, called the European Sojourn, so you can do that. Otherwise, you can break it into smaller pieces. We're going to be talking about a smaller piece tonight. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but we're going to be talking about an area right in this part of the area called the Danube. But you can do Eastern Europe. You can do this section in the middle, which actually goes over the Main-Danube Canal system. Now that system is about 40 to 60 locks, and it actually takes you up over the continental divide of Europe. So think Alps, and down the other side. Really, really interesting. If you're an engineer, you'll find that fascinating. And then we can go all the way up and do the Rhine down to France, or sorry, down to Switzerland. You can do France. You can do Portugal. We also go to Russia. We go to Ukraine, for those of you that might have Ukrainian heritage in the Edmonton area. I'm not sure about Edson. There might be some Ukrainians in the Edson. Oops, I think I just muted myself.
There's a few, but not too many.
Okay, Alt A, I've got a Alt. Just, I think you, good, I'm back on. Okay, so you can see some of the other areas, Vietnam, Cambodia, we go to China, and we also go to Egypt. So let's talk about this particular itinerary that Leah's chosen. I love this itinerary. This is Budapest to Passau, which takes you right through the heart of Austria. Look at this map, it gives you an idea. So we're gonna be making stops along the way: Bratislava, Vienna, Dürnstein, Melk, Linz, and Passau. And going up, there's a side trip if you want to do pre and post. You can stay longer in Budapest, and you can go up to Prague if you like, or you can take a detour and go down to Munich on your own. If you work with Leah, she can take you there. So here is a picture of Budapest. Isn't this gorgeous? Budapest is really one of the most beautiful places in Europe, and it's you sail in. You start off and you sail along the river, sailing out of here, and we also often sail at night. So you're going to have this beautiful city all lit up. All these monuments are lit at night, and it is gorgeous. So what we're looking at right now, you can see the Parliament buildings in the distance. We dock very close to there, just on the opposite side of the river. If you can see that, where's the bridge? The bridge is actually directly to the right, and we dock really near to the bridge on the far right-hand side, on the opposite side. So this is Fisherman's Bastion. It's part of the Castle District in Budapest. And I encourage you, if you're going to do the pre-package, it's well worth it. I spent a couple of extra days, and we stayed up right near this church. This is St. Matthias Church, or St. Matthew's Church, and it's all been redone. You can see that we're just completing all the beautiful roof tiles when I was there, and it was just gorgeous. But there's lots to see and do here. Great little restaurants and some really fun activities. I did a biking tour of Budapest, so if you want to do that, we do have that available. You can spend some time walking around in this district. There's great restaurants, all kinds of great Hungarian restaurants, as well as other international restaurants as well as the castle. On the right-hand side, you can see, this is the Gellert Spa I was talking about. So it's more like a hot springs, I guess is what we would call it in Banff or Jasper. And so you come here for the waters, but they're hot. And it's more like a gym facility kind of than it is a spa that we're used to. But it's very, very healthy for you. And the waters, apparently, people have been coming to these areas for centuries to take the water, so to speak. So you can check that out if you want. We do have a tour that will take you, or you can certainly go and explore on your own. Here is the Buda Castle. So now we're looking from the side where the Parliament building is, on the opposite side of the river, and looking up towards that church that I showed you, the Fisherman's Bastion, the hotel that we use for our tours up there. The white building is part of the Hilton Hotel. So really wonderful place. There's a funicular that'll take you up here as well. So you can take the funicular down from just beyond the Fisherman's Bastion on the left-hand side of the photo. So lots to see and do. I did some fun things here when I was here. There's actually underneath this hill, this Buda Hill, is a museum that is called the Hospital in the Hill. So if you're interested, it was built during the Second World War and the Hungarian Revolution as a full hospital with surgical wards and everything, to help them to look after their wounded during those two, the Revolution and the Second World War. Budapest was really, really badly bombed. Fascinating to go in there and see it, because they've restored it all. I also went to the House of Terror. If anybody's interested in history, it is all about the fascist period and the Hungarian Revolution. It's just amazing. So there's some very interesting things here to explore. So I really encourage you to spend a few extra days. Here's another beautiful photo looking down from Fisherman's Bastion at night. You can see how beautiful it is when it's all lit up. So from there, we sail towards Vienna, and we stop in Bratislava. Now, a little bit of history. The Vienna and Budapest were the two capitals of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And Bratislava was also part of that empire. And the castle you see up on the hill was actually built kind of like a B&B. So the royals would travel between Budapest and Vienna, but they would have to stop off for a little rest along the way, because it's not, when you're traveling by horse and carriage, it was a lot longer than it is by river ships. So they would stop off, spend a few days at Bratislava Castle, and go on to Vienna, or vice versa. So you'll get a chance. We do come in here in the afternoon. And I'm just looking for some of my notes on this, because it is a fascinating city, and it's the only city that actually borders on 3 countries. It borders on the Czech Republic, Austria, and Hungary. So really interesting place. You'll visit the castle, and then you'll also come down and get to spend some time in the old city. You can see the tower, that's St. Michael's Tower. The town hall, it's a medieval town center. So it's really fun. And I think we stay late here on this itinerary. So you can go in, you can spend a little time. I had a late lunch. I did a little shopping. We had a cocktail, and then I came back to the ship, because the ship dock's right there where you can see. I think there's a ship dock that I can't see because it's right behind the panel, but it's just a beautiful, beautiful city, and some very interesting architecture as well. And then we get to Vienna. Vienna is my favorite city in all of Europe. It's one of those beautiful cities that reminds me of Paris, but in a smaller way. What you're looking at here is the Belvedere Palace, which is a little bit outside of Vienna. The central part of Vienna actually has the Habsburg Palace, or the Habsburg Palace, which was the center of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And it's a beautiful, beautiful structure that actually has been built on by about 6 different generations, about 700 years of architecture. It's the home of the Viennese Boys Choir and the Lipizan Stallions. So you'll get a chance, if you want to do some privileged access, you might be able to go to the stables. One of the people I talked to was from Calgary, and they went out to the farm where they were raising the Lipizan Stallions, and she was a horse person. So she said it was amazing. I had some fun here when I was here, because we do stay late. We actually we don't sail till about 2 o'clock in the morning. So you've got some time to go and explore the city and also stay late. So one of the tours we do, Vienna, of course, is known for the music. Mozart, Beethoven, Strauss, of course. This is called the Waltz City, or the City of Waltzes, and it's the center of classical music. So we do have access to a wonderful concert with opera, a little bit of dance, and of course the beautiful music of Mozart and Strauss. And we do it in a lovely old concert hall. So you'll get that sense of what it was like to be in Vienna during its heyday. Now, I was here and I had done that before, so I did the Hurrigan evening. Now, the Hurrigan evening is kind of like, it's kind of wine tasting. You go out to the outlying area of Vienna is where the wine is grown. Pretty much all the wine that is consumed in Vienna is grown on the outskirts or within the city limits of Vienna. So these vineyards are all around the outside, and they have these little kind of taverns, I guess, that are all around the outside of Vienna as well. And you wouldn't even know they were there. They look like houses, like buildings. And when you go inside, you've got the beautiful restaurant and wine tasting on the inside. Then you go a little bit further and you've got an outdoor courtyard with vines, and they serve different kinds of wine and all kinds of wonderful local snacks. And then if you walk a little bit further, you're actually in the vineyard. So if you want to try that, it's really fun. I loved it. And that's just one of the optional tours you can do. And I was curious. So really fun place to go. But one of my favorite things to do in Vienna, of course, is eat. And it's known for the Wiener Schnitzel. So I can give you some tips on that. I'm trying to remember the name of the restaurant, but it's one of the oldest restaurants in Vienna, and it's known for its schnitzel. It's bigger than a dinner plate. You have to take a friend, but it's fantastic. And then, of course, the Sachertorte is known for this beautiful Sachertorte. So for those of you who like to cook, you might want to take a little screenshot of this with the recipe. I thought it might be fun, but you have to go to the coffee houses. You've got to try the coffee. It comes in with like a 2-page menu and always with whipped cream. And then the pastries in these beautiful coffee houses is amazing. So I really encourage you to do it. If you go to the Zacher Hotel, you can even send the Sachertorte back to your family and friends. I did that for my mom's birthday, and it was really, really cool. They wrap it all up. It's all sealed, and then put it in this beautiful wooden box. So the presentation is gorgeous. And you can actually order it online before so that it arrives the day you're in Vienna, which is what I did for my mom's birthday. It was really fun. From there, we sail on, and we stop in the village of Krem. And Krem is a small university town at the eastern end of the Wachau Valley. And it's surrounded by terrace vineyards. It's known, and it actually, the wine, a lot of the wine that we serve on board our ship as our house wine comes from this village. There's from the Morval vineyard, and there is actually, I think, a Michelin star restaurant here as well. So you might get a chance to enjoy this as well. But we stop here and we visit the Gottvig Abbey, and it's a 900-year-old abbey set up on a beautiful hill. And this is part of it. You can see on the left-hand side, and you can see some of the trompe l'oeil frescoes that are inside the abbey. It's magnificent, and it's we help to support the abbey, so it's exclusive to Viking. But the other thing they do in this area is grow apricots. It's famous for the apricots. It's famous for the apricot jam, and also for the apricot brandy. So you can do a little tasting here as well. I always like to bring the apricot brandy home for stocking stuffers or for hostess gifts, and the jam is out of this world. So something you might want to pick up while you're there and enjoy. And then here's the Wachau Valley. It's gorgeous. Down below, you can see that little village. It's the village of Dürnstein. And what I did from Krem also on my last trip, because I wanted a little exercise, is I did a bike trip. So we pedaled from Krem to Dürnstein through the vineyard. So it was really, really fun. We were on e-bikes, so if you didn't want to pedal, you could just coast. But Dürnstein is a fully walled medieval village, and it's absolutely breathtaking. And again, another great place to buy the apricot brandy and the apricots. You can see some of the vineyards and also the orchards all around it. It's also the castle area of Austria. So as we sail, you'll get a chance to learn about it. And you'll also get to see Dürnstein from the water side, which is breathtaking. So one of those great things. Then we get to Linz, and Linz is, it's in Austria, and it is, Linz, of course, known for, or very close to where the Sound of Music is. That's more like Salzburg, but it does have part of it. Now you can do a walking tour here in Linz, or you can do as I did and travel out through the countryside and into the Czech Republic and go to this beautiful town that you see on the slide, which is called Český Krumlov in the Czech Republic. And it is really part of Bohemia, this area, which used to be part of the Czech Republic and also part of Germany, and it's gone back and forth over the centuries. But Český Krumlov Castle is Renaissance style, and then this beautiful stone bridge. It also has the bear moat with real bears that still live in it. So you can check that out. When I was there, it was really fun because it was hot. It was July. It was rainy, but people were on this. It's kind of like it's a real lazy river. It's a river that runs through the city and around the city, and people go on rafts and various float devices, and they just kind of float around the city. But it's a beautiful medieval village with lots of town squares and wonderful restaurants. I sat very nearby here, that bridge, and had lunch, and there are little locks. It was fantastic. So I highly, highly recommend this if you want to enjoy Český Krumlov and the Czech Republic. And then finally we get to Passau. Passau is really one of my favorite cities. The cool thing about Passau is it's situated in the middle of 3 rivers, the Ill, the Inns, and the Danube. So they say when you get up high on the hill and you look down, you can see the 3 colors of the rivers, which you definitely can. But this is where the river Danube becomes the Blue Danube. So you can check that out. It's a beautiful city. The center that you see here, this part of the city, is actually an island between the 3 rivers. And it's about 2.5 kilometers if you want to walk all the way around it. And then as you walk in towards the city, towards those 2 churches, You're into these little winding medieval streets. Beautiful, beautiful place to explore. That white cathedral that you see is famous because it has the largest pipe organ in Europe, and we do a pipe organ concert here. So we will spend, we'll arrive during the day. You'll get a chance to do a variety of different tours. You can go on a beer tasting experience up the river. You can do what I did, which was a bike trip that took me through the natural park. We went across the river and went back into Austria. I stood on the bridge, which 2 feet, 1 foot on each side of the two countries. I had 1 foot in Austria and 1 foot in Germany. And then we pedaled back down the other side. It was really fun. So lots of great things to do here if you want to explore and spend a little extra time if you want to go to Munich or to Prague. It's well worth it. So I just wanted to quickly touch on a few other itineraries. I'm not going into depth, but because I'm running out of time. But the Grand European takes you all the way through. It does the Rhine as well as the Danube. So you can see some of the places I talked about, but you'll also visit those. France, which gives you north and southern France, up to Normandy, the Normandy beaches, Paris, and then down into Provence, the Burgundy and Beaujolais wine area. Chateaux, Rivers, and Wines takes you into the wine growing area of Bordeaux. So you can enjoy some great food and wine in this area. The Bordeaux, the Margaux, the Saint-Emilion, Sauterne wine all comes from this area, as does Cognac. If you want to tackle Russia, this is a fantastic trip, spending time in St. Petersburg, Moscow, and then the rural part of Russia, where you'll get really in-depth. The most beautiful, beautiful palaces. You can see the Hermitage there, the largest art gallery in the world. Amazing things to see and do in here. And then we also go to Portugal. So if you're interested in port, this gives you a little taste of Portugal along the Douro River as well as Lisbon. So, and then finally, just a little interest for those who might want to go to Egypt. So Cairo, along the Nile River from Luxor down to Aswan and back, with extensions to Petra, Jordan, and Jerusalem. So that pretty much gives you it in a nutshell. Oh my goodness, I still have Mississippi. I'll quickly go through this. I'm not going to waste time, but I wanted to share the Danube with you. So we just launched Mississippi. This is our ship going to be sailing. There's some of our staterooms. They look a lot like our river ships and our ocean ships. Here's the itinerary. So we're going to be going the full length of the Mississippi. So if you want to stay closer to home, we've got 8-day cruises in the south, ones that go from New Orleans all the way up to Memphis. We go from St. Louis to St. Paul, and we have sold out actually our 15-day cruises that will be sailing the full length from St. Paul to New Orleans. Now, these don't even sail until 2022. So we're well ahead of it, but people are super interested, and there are some of the details. So I wanted to just wrap up. We do have some offers right now, a reduced deposit. I know Leah's been talking to you about that. We have some free air and some reduced air on some of these itineraries. And we also have until the end of the month, risk-free guarantee insurance. This is it's a risk-free guarantee policy. So what it does is allows you to cancel up to 24 hours before departure. So if something like this continues to happen or pops up again, you can still book now and know that you are protected. So you don't have to worry about losing money. What we will do is replace the cancellation fees with a future cruise voucher for the same value, and you can use it towards a future cruise, and whatever's left that is refundable will go back to you. So that just gives you some options. So I'm going to leave this to Leah. She's going to step in and tell you all about the cruise that she's booked for April of 2021. And I'll be happy to answer some questions after, but thank you for listening. I hope I inspired you a little bit. I get a little excited because I love talking about river cruising, and I love Europe, and there's just so much to see and do. So please come and join us.
Thank you, Kim. That was amazing. Okay, so yes, I am hosting a river cruise, which Kim went into detail on our stops along the Danube, and it is April 12th to the 18th, 2021. Pricing starts, as you can see, for the lowest category room, which she showed you, called the Swan. What did you call that, Kim?
The Swan View.
Swan View.
Swan View. I always call them the Swan View.
starting at $33.74 per person, and then going all the way up to the suite. So she has got on here as well our pre and post cruise packages. So those are the ones that you can add on for 2 nights in Budapest before the cruise starts, and then also 2 nights, actually I believe it's 3 nights in Prague for the post cruise. So it should be 3 nights there. Well, the one nice thing about doing the pre-cruise and the post-cruise packages is that for the pre-cruise, you get there, by the time you get to the boat, you're nicely well rested, you don't have the jet lag. Also, they look after your bags and they pick you up from the airport, take you to your hotel. The cruise director meets you there, they're with you from that point all the way till the time you get to the ship. They look after your bags, getting it from the hotel to the ship in your room by the time you arrive on the ship. So same with after your transfers are all included with that pre and post cruise package. So it's a real bonus. And then air. Viking Cruise Lines does do air. And right now we have some great air pricing coming out of Canada for that time of year. Calgary Edmonton is $11.49 per person, Regina $9.49 per person, and from Vancouver or Toronto it's $8.49 per person. So what happens with that is that Viking calls you, because this is including, now it slips my mind, Kim, what it's called when Viking calls you to go through all of the different scheduling for air, and you get to choose what.
Oh, Air Plus. Air Plus.
Air Plus, yes. So the
Air
prices
Plus.
that I have shown you at the bottom here
Air
include
Plus.
Air Plus. That's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So normally, if you don't purchase Air Plus, it's $50 per person. But I've included it in that pricing. And what Air Plus is, it guarantees that you get choice in choosing what flights you want to be on. Otherwise, it is more Viking will just give you your air, and this is what it is. But if you choose Air Plus, you have choice in what flight time, what flights you leave on, your time of arrival, when you want to leave home. So yeah, and so that pricing includes Air Plus. So really, it's great pricing, especially out of Toronto, Vancouver. Even from Calgary, Edmonton, I was looking at pricing for the fall, because that's as far ahead as we can look right now. The pricing is not published for next April just yet, but that is about the same as what we can get for the fall, heading over to Budapest and returning from Prague. So it's great. When you sign up, what this would require is a deposit. So those of you that might be interested in coming with our group, you can pay a deposit, which is $250 per person right now. And then for your terms and conditions right now, Kim, final payment is due 90 days. Sorry, no, with Viking, I'm sorry, with Viking, it is 6. Yeah.
It's, yeah, it's coming up fairly quickly. It's about a year out.
Right.
The risk cancellation does protect you. And the cancellation, you can cancel up to 4 months prior to departure, and it's only $100 per person, non-refundable, which with the risk-free guarantee would be given back to you as a voucher. So you can apply it to a future cruise. Right,
so it's really risk-free right now if you sign up now. Would be given back all of your cruise dollars in a future travel voucher if you had to cancel. I was going to also add in here, if you have to cancel 4 months out, then the only, if there wasn't, right now, Viking has a great offer, which is risk-free, but usually what it is that you would just only lose your $100 deposit if you had to cancel prior to 4 months out, which is great, really. After final payment dates, the rest will be refunded. But we don't have to worry about that right now. If you sign up right now, pay your deposit of $250, then you are really, I think, no risk to you, being that you would be giving it back to you in a future travel credit, which you could use on any cruise. Up to how many months do they have to book with that, Kim?
Sorry, for the risk-free?
Yes.
You have till the end of the month, till the end of this month. I don't know if it's going to get extended.
Okay, with the future travel credit though, right now, what is Viking Cruises offering for how many months they have to use that future travel credit?
It's 24 months from issue.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if it's, you know, if you cancel, even if you cancel 24 hours before you leave on April 11th,
10th, 11th, yeah.
well, you'll be able to use that voucher for the 100% penalty for 2 years.
Yeah, that's amazing. It really is.
So.
Okay, so there's a few questions coming in. One of them that came in at the very beginning was from him. He wanted to know what you feel is the best time to go. And I'll ask you the second question after you answer that one.
Okay, well, I think that the time you've chosen is fantastic. One, because it's spring and you're going to get, it warms up in Europe fairly quickly, and you're going to have all the flowers coming out. It really is beautiful. I like to go in the spring or the fall, personally. I went in July last year and it was hot. It was 40 degrees. So it was still lovely, but it was hot. I travel a lot in the fall and I do love that. But the spring is also beautiful. So I think you've made a good choice. If you wanted to go with Leah on this particular cruise. Otherwise, I love October because the leaves are changing and all of the festivals are happening and they're harvesting and picking the wine and doing all that stuff. It's fun too.
Lots of colors. Okay. The other thing Jim was wondering about, they had some friends go and their vacation was cut short because the river went dry. You remember that?
Yeah, it was a bad year. It's a very unique thing though. That's an extreme.
Right. And in all of your years of experience, how many times has that happened?
That was the first time in that was the lowest water in over 1,000 years.
Oh, wow.
So that was extreme. But, you know, you have to be prepared with any kind of travel. You have to be prepared for the stuff you can't, the unexpected. But what I do say is that Viking is better equipped than almost anybody because our ships are so, they're exactly the same and there's a lot of them, for us to be able to move guests easily between ships. So I have been caught with low water in Budapest, and we actually had to dock a little bit further out of the city. We took the coaches in to do our city tour, but we were, and then we did a ship swap. So when we got to Passau, because I was going a little further, we actually swapped ships. So we moved from ship to ship. It was not, and honestly, I have probably some great stories to tell because of it. I always look at sometimes these things happen and you end up with even better stories than you would have if you hadn't. So I never let things like that worry me. I always just go. And I think if you're an adventurer at heart, you embrace that and you just go and enjoy it. Don't let it stop you. We will take care of you.
Okay. Another question we have is the bike tour that you mentioned that you did in Krem.
Yeah.
How long was that bike tour about, roughly?
It was about, I think it was 14 kilometers. And it took about, it was a couple of hours. I think we were gone for 3 hours. It took about, 45 minutes to do the bike over and then 45 minutes back. And we had about an hour and a bit in the town to explore. And they were e-bikes. So I'd never been on an e-bike. Honestly, my husband was using the e-bike program and I didn't want to give in. I was still pedaling. But it was, I actually used it on one of the hills and it was really fun just to try it. So we work with guides there. They're local guides. There's a guide at either end. So you have one at the front, one at the back. They're local, so they share lots of great information. It was really, really fun. I loved it. I did it in Passau and I also did it in Budapest. So I recommend it if you like to do it. But remember, a lot of us don't bike all the time and probably haven't been on a bike in many years. So it was nice to have those e-bikes, and it was nice to have the guides with us.
Okay. If anyone else has any other questions, there's a chat box down below, or you can swipe on your phone to get to the chat box and type in a question. If we'll just see if there's any others. But Rosanna asked about getting a booklet on Viking River cruises, and actually there is a digital version that I can send to you. I do believe I have some as well in my cupboard, so we can arrange to get you one that you can have in your hands to look at. But otherwise, it doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in just yet. So I appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight, Kim. Yeah, it was amazing. It makes me want to go tomorrow. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way after seeing this presentation. If anyone else has any questions about the group I'm hosting next year or any of the cruises that Kim spoke about tonight, feel free to email me or message me on Facebook, and we can answer any of your questions there. So yeah, thank you for taking us tonight, everyone.
Thank you. And hope we'll see you cruising with us soon.
Yes, we look forward to it. Take care,
Bye.
Kim.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a good rest of your night. Stay safe.